Hey there, Alex Kidman here, and ahead of Galaxy Unpacked, I had the opportunity for a little hands-on time with the new Galaxy Z Fold5, Z Flip5, Galaxy Watch, and Tab S9. So these are my brief early thoughts. Now I've got to say, these are brief early thoughts because like so many of these media briefings, it was basically half an hour of hands-on time to mostly just get photos and video. I couldn't take any photos that I took on the devices away with me. I couldn't do any benchmarks or anything like that. But I'm really au fait with these devices, so I was keen to have a little bit of hands-on time. These are just early thoughts. Really, I'll have to wait till I get them in to give you more fully fledged thoughts, as it were. So let's start with the big lad, the Galaxy Z Fold5. So here, Samsung doesn't really feel like it's done a whole lot, and maybe it doesn't need to, because let's face it, in this foldable market, in this phones that become bigger things, tablets basically, it's got the market to itself. There's really not much in the Western market like it, and so I get the feeling they just don't feel the pressure so much. It's still a really good, really nice device. That Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy seems to purr along really, really well, and it does multitasking well. The fact that it's thinner is nice but not vital. I get that this is actually a pretty big engineering challenge. Just bringing it down by thinness, even by a couple of millimeters, is a big thing. But unless you are coming from an older Fold, I don't know that you're going to spot it immediately in the hand. And this is still very much a premium device in terms of price. We're seriously still waiting for these larger foldables to come down in price in a very real way. Certainly hasn't happened this year. Still, I'm a Fold guy. I like the Fold more than the Flip in terms of what it does and what it can do. So I reckon this is a pretty nice device, even if it isn't some huge revolutionary reimagining of the form. Where Samsung has, of course, made some bigger moves is with the Flip5. And really specifically, it's not so much about the screen, it's not so much about the processor, although it's really nice that, again, it's the same processor as the Fold, so this is a really nice, big, powerful phone in that sense. But it's really about that external display, about what you can do, and critically, really, what you can't do with it. So I totally appreciate that it's actually really quite good for things like selfies, for using those external cameras in a sensible way, because while you could do that with the older Flip generations, it was always really fiddly. You had those tiny little rectangular windows to frame yourself in, and this is just so much better for that. The widgets they've got are also smart and well presented, and I think they've done some really smart and intelligent work there. But there's a big catch here. And it's one that screamed out almost immediately to me because I've just recently been reviewing the Motorola Razr 40 Ultra, also known as the Razr Plus in some markets. And that's visually a very, very similar sort of device. It's very much the fold-down phone with an external large display. It does widgets too, but the big difference for the Motorola is it also does Android apps. And from what Samsung was telling me, from what I could see on the phones, the Flip does not. It's widgets only, which means they're going to have to convince makers to produce widgets for this, or use the widgets that they've already got if it can deal with a standard Android widget. That's a much more limited approach. It makes the Z Flip5 less compelling to me. I'd be fascinated by your thoughts on whether or not you think it's an improved device regardless, and that's what you'd want to buy. I've also got, of course, some concerns over battery life, but that's absolutely just the case for these little Flip phones. Their battery life has never massively wowed me, although it has improved in recent years, and I've got high hopes there. What about the new watches? Well, look, for me, the big news here, of course, is the return of the rotating bezel on the Galaxy Watch 6. I love that thing. And I'm not embarrassed to say it. It's easily the best design idea that Samsung has ever had for a smartwatch. The new health features seem pretty neat, especially things like the irregular heart rhythm tracking, although here in Australia we'll have to wait for that to get TGA approval. This is always the case, it seems. But really, I didn't obviously have that on my wrist or to test out for anywhere near long enough. Then we've got the Tab S9s, and look, these are nice looking premium Android tablets for that kind of creative professional crowd. Obviously, this is where Samsung wants to take on things like the iPad Pro. And look, I think it's got a shot of doing it. I have some concerns still about Android tablet apps and the way they size. You can watch my Pixel tablet review, actually, to get a bigger picture on that and where that might be a bit of a challenge for the Tab S9. They're also not inexpensive. And look, here in Australia, Samsung doesn't really have a laptop market. But if you are considering one of these, you should also consider whether or not, in fact, an ultra-portable laptop might be a better bet. Obviously, it depends on your workflow and it does depend on what you need. Anyway, those are my super early thoughts on Samsung's new foldables, tablets, and wearables. What do you think? Anything that particularly excites you? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.